Hey guys, and welcome to the video. So today I would like to talk about something super mega important, and it's a very simple subject, but it's the 5 things that I think are essential for you to be able to lose weight and also keep that weight off forever. So let's get into the video. Oh, and before we start, and this forms part of number 1 coming up, if you would like my free food structure guide, it is down there in the description. Just grab that for free. So let's get into the 5 things that you need to lose weight and to keep it off forever. So number 1 is the really obvious thing. And this is eating and moving, so exercise, in a way to lose weight. And this is what most diet programs will focus on. So whether it's Slimming World, Weight Watchers, keto diets, intermittent fasting, Atkins diet, anything, they try and put you in what we call a calorie deficit. So you're eating fewer calories than you consume, so you lose weight. And some of them concentrate on exercise as well. So for weight loss, you need to be in a calorie deficit. So consuming fewer calories than your body needs, and that's how weight loss works. And it's just the method is different with different diets. The important thing is though, that the way you do it is sustainable and also solves your hunger and gets the relevant nutrients in, so you are nourished. And like I said, you need to have something that is not just a diet that you're going to do for a short period of time. You need something that's more of a lifestyle change. So a lot of these things like counting points or calories or sins or cutting out food groups, these are not sustainable because you can't do them forever. Sometimes, yes, you can use your willpower and push through, maybe do it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. Sometimes people even do it for 6 months or a year. But there's going to be a point where you decide, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And the problem with that is, obviously, you will go back to how you were eating before and the weight comes back on. So you need to be able to eat in a way, like I said, to be in a calorie deficit, solve your hunger and nourish yourself while changing your lifestyle and being able to not really have to think about what you're eating, but also enjoy the food and include things that you want to eat as well. So that's one thing that I work on with my clients. So getting them to be in a calorie deficit, solving their hunger and also nourishing them at the same time, including foods they enjoy, but in a way that doesn't overwhelm them, that's not boring, and they can sustain day in, day out for the rest of their life, and a way that they want to do that as well. So that is number 1. And these are what I like to call the extrinsic or external things, because these are the things you do, your diet and your exercise. Number 2 to number 5 are more internal things, so things with your mind. So number 2 is getting rid of emotional eating, however you'd like to call it. So whether it be cravings, urges, uncontrollable eating, mindless eating, binge eating even, they're the same thing. And basically the easiest way to explain it is you have obsessive thoughts, the devil comes out onto your shoulder and kind of shouts in your ear until you do what it says. So you may have a craving for chocolate, say, and you can't get rid of that chocolate craving until you have it. And obviously, this is not very useful because number 1, going back to number 1, if you are trying to go in one direction, eating in a certain way to lose weight, and being pulled back in the other direction, having these obsessive thoughts and kind of violating your decisions, then you're going back in the other direction. So being able to solve emotional eating is super, super important, because without that, there's going to be this tug of war. You're trying to go in that direction, but also being pulled back in that direction. So people that are able to solve emotional eating, and again, this is one thing that I work on with my clients, have excellent results because step number 1 becomes so much easier when you can think about what you want to do, carry it out, and not have something pulling you back in the other direction. And just to go into it a little bit, most people think that there's something wrong with them when they get these cravings and urges. So the thing to understand is that cravings and urges, they come from a different part of your mind. So it's not the part of your mind, the conscious mind, which deals with logic and language and thoughts. It's the unconscious mind, which is the survival brain, which deals with habits, repetition, and associations. So it doesn't matter how intelligent you are or however much you try and outthink these cravings, they're not going to go away with your conscious mind. So you have to work on them with your unconscious mind. And in actual fact, thinking about them with the conscious mind and trying to get rid of them with the conscious mind actually makes them worse, makes the binges worse, because of how the unconscious mind works. So let's delve into it a little bit. Let's say I tell you, don't think of a pink elephant. What happens? You have to think of a pink elephant. So the unconscious mind doesn't understand negative instructions. So it takes away the don't. You have to think of that pink elephant to process that thought. And the same thing happens with chocolate. When you say to yourself, don't think of chocolate, don't eat chocolate, we're going to be really good, let's not think of chocolate. You have to think of it to do that. And then we couple that with what we call mental rehearsal, mental practice. So the more you practice something, the more you think of something up here, the better you can get at it. And various people in the world utilize this. So sports players, actors, they all utilize mental rehearsal. So all it means is you go over something in your mind and you can get better at it. So actors, they will practice their lines in their head before they actually do it for real. Sports players will imagine kicking a ball and scoring a goal. And it builds those neural connections, and you don't actually have to do the task to get better at it. So the problem is, the more you try and outthink cravings, the worse they actually get, because in actual fact, you're practicing them. So the unconscious mind deals with repetition. So the more you repeat it, the better you actually get at it. So we have to tackle it from the angle the unconscious mind works. So with repetition and associations and emotions. And once that is sorted, like I said, step number 1 becomes so much easier. So that's number 2, the emotional eating, getting rid of emotional eating. Number 3 is super important as well. And so this is motivation. So motivation, there's a few things to talk about with motivation. The first one is external versus internal motivation. So a lot of people will use external things for motivation. So what I mean by that is, for example, a holiday or a wedding, an event or a party. The problem with this is when the event or party or wedding or whatever comes and goes, so does the motivation. So you need to have internal motivation, motivation that's always here. And most people do have a little bit of this, but they only have one part of it. So when you want to lose weight, you're obviously unhappy with your life, unhappy with how you are. You don't feel like you're in a good place. And this is your emotional pain. Your emotional pain gives you a push to get started and gives you a push to do something about it. You may be watching this video because of that. Let me know actually in the comments, if you're watching this video, are you trying to lose weight and how much are you trying to lose? So the problem with just having a push motivation is as you start to make progress, so let's say you start eating in a way that helps you start to lose weight. As you start to make progress, you start to lose weight and you start to feel a bit better about yourself. So that emotional pain, it goes down. And so too does the action you take. So you start to slip into old habits again. Things start to sort of slip back to how they were before. And so does your eating, and so do your results. So you end up back where you were before. And you feel bad again, feel all the same things again. And so you think, oh, I'm going to try again. Start a new diet or the same diet again. And the same thing happens again. You start to lose a bit of weight, make some progress, you feel better. So the motivation goes down, that push motivation goes down because the emotional pain is gone, or it's reduced. And so you end up in this circle of starting, feeling better, going back to how you were before. And that's basically the definition of yo-yo dieting. It's a bit like driving your car while looking in the rearview mirror. So you're going forward, but looking back at what you don't want. You don't really have a clear direction. So within a few seconds, you wrap your car around a lamppost, you crash, right? And you go back to where you were before. You need to have a direction. And that leads me into how to get the opposite part of the motivation as well. So the opposite motivation is a pull motivation. And that is basically being clear of what you want in your life. How will your life be when you solve this problem? Your compelling future. And most people, they haven't considered this much because it's very easy to feel the moment and how you are because you're living the moment every day. So you're living your life of what you don't want at the moment. You have to sit down and consider actually how your life will be. And when you do this, when you start to lose a bit of weight and that emotional pain goes down and the push motivation reduces, you start seeing some of the things that you're looking forward to in your life. So it gives you the pull motivation. You start getting up every day with that drive to continue because you're getting all these amazing things which you were looking for in your life. And it gives you that emotional reassurance to continue going and that huge motivation and that huge drive to continue towards your goal and keep it once you get it. So it's super important to have this internal motivation, but from both sides as well, both the pain and the pleasure. And without it, you're stuck in that yo-yo dieting cycle. So that's number 3, motivation. Number 4 is getting rid of negative emotions, any conflicts or any limiting beliefs. So negative emotions obviously are not good for you and often feed back into the emotional eating. So if you don't feel good, you often learned to feel better, you can eat something. And so having these negative emotions is not helping you towards your goal. So that's one thing I help my clients with as well. And also the limiting beliefs. So what are limiting beliefs? It could be anything. It might be that you tried so many times that you just don't believe what you're doing will work. And unless you have 100% in on your goal, you're never going to try and put all the action in and do everything you need to do to get to that goal. So fear of failure, because you've done it so many times. So the lack of belief that you can do it because you failed so many times. I've spoken to people that have been trying for 10, 15 years to lose weight and they've not had success. And of course, this is going to make you feel bad because you don't ever get success and you've taught yourself that maybe I can't do it. Maybe I'm just going to be this way forever. So you have that belief. So that's one of the limiting beliefs you may have. There may be others as well. Maybe I don't know what to do or how to do it. Many things. And conflicts as well. Conflicts are very important. So there's always going to be benefits of staying overweight. That's why you're here at the moment. That's why you're overweight. There must be a benefit to it. So the obvious things are, it's comfortable. You don't need to do much. You don't need to think much. You can eat everything and anything whenever you want. You don't need to exercise. You can sit down and watch Netflix all the time. That's benefits, right? So it's very important to condition the opposite and be very clear to yourself how to get rid of these. Other conflicts might be fear of failure. So what happens if I fail? I already feel terrible about myself. If I fail again, I'm just going to feel even worse. So why even try? So again, getting rid of these conflicts is super important. Otherwise, there's always going to be these things pulling you back in the other direction. A more extreme one, the other end of the scale. I've spoken to people in the past that have been abused when they were younger. And subconsciously, being overweight stopped them getting attention. And so it's actually a benefit. They don't get wolf whistles. They don't get people talking to them in the streets. They don't get unwanted attention. So that's a benefit for them. So clearing this up and making sure that's resolved is super important as well. So number 5 is very easy. It's taking action. So doing the tasks and processes day to day, week in, week out, that you need to do to get to your goal. And also some accountability as well. So someone to support you and reassure you that what you are doing is correct. And on those days where you may weigh yourself and think, what's the point? It's not changed or it's gone up. Reassuring you that other people have done it and the scale doesn't always show you results. Of course, water retention can mask your fat loss. Remember, it's fat loss and size change you want, not just scale weight change. And often you can be losing fat, but the scale might say otherwise. And just having someone to reassure you you are doing the right thing, continue through, and you will get the results in the end. So again, that links back into the motivation. So those are the 5 things. And you may notice, like I said, that number 2 to number 5 are all internal. And no diet programs actually focus on any of these things. They only focus on the eating and possibly the exercise. So they're missing out steps 2 to 5, these huge major steps. So emotional eating, motivation, negative emotions, conflicts, limiting beliefs, and the accountability. Sometimes there's some accountability, but it's super important to do these steps. Otherwise, you're just going to go round and round in circles. You're never going to have long-term success. Yes, you will always lose a bit of weight by reducing your food and changing your diet, but can you do that forever? And what is holding you back? The emotional eating, motivation, things like that, negative emotions, the conflicts, limiting beliefs. Have you sorted those things out? If not, it's just another short-term solution and your problem will never be solved. So I just wanted to go through those things and just make you super aware that you need all these things to actually lose weight. Otherwise, it will just be another one of these diets that will last a short amount of time. And also, when you see results from a lot of these diets, consider what happens to these people afterwards. This might be just their short-term result that they're showing results from, the progress photo or whatever. What happens after? Do they put the weight on? Have they made a lifestyle change? Is this forever? How do they actually feel? And so it's super important. So let me know in the comments, guys, like, how have you been losing weight and how have you experienced it? What have you found difficult? Have you found emotional eating pulling you back in the other direction? Have you found your motivation lacks? Let me know in the comments. And again, my free food structure guide is down there as well in the description. Feel free to grab that for free. And as always, subscribe, I said comment, and I'll see you in the next video.